you doing it?
I told you to stay away from here.
A man stood frozen on a quiet suburban street, his broad back facing three men dressed in dark uniforms. One of them had just said the unthinkable, "I hit your wife." So what? The world around them seemed to stop, neighbors staring from behind curtains. They had no idea the man they mocked was a Navy SEAL, and their lives were about to change forever. Asterisk, the insult hung in the air like poison. The late afternoon sun burned against the neat rows of houses, but the chill in the man's chest was sharper than steel. Three self-appointed officers, men wearing cheap uniforms that mimicked real authority, stood sneering before him. They had crossed a line that no one with honor could ever cross. And yet, the man did not speak. His back was straight, his silence unshaken. The green shirt stretched across his shoulders read only two words, Navy SEAL. To the imposters, it was nothing more than a phrase. To him, it was a life etched in sacrifice, discipline, and battles no civilian could imagine. The neighborhood had grown tense over the last few weeks. These so-called enforcers of an HOA group of men who thrived on intimidation had taken it upon themselves to play cops. They barked orders, demanded fines, and in one horrifying moment, shoved the man's wife when she refused to bow to their bullying. The crowd of neighbors had gasped, but no one had stepped forward. Fear chained them in silence. But silence, in the hands of a warrior, is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Beneath the calm exterior of this man was a storm forged in the deserts overseas. Years earlier, he had crouched in sand-swept ruins, hearing the whine of bullets pass inches from his ear. He had led brothers through nights so dark that the stars were the only witness to their courage. He had watched friends fall and carried their weight in his heart long after the battlefield ended. When he came home, he promised two things: never to raise his fists in anger without cause, and never to let harm come to the people he loved. Now, one of those promises had been broken. The leader of the imposters stepped forward, lips curled in arrogance. His voice dripped with mockery. "What are you going to do about it?" The Navy SEAL didn't move. His breathing was steady, his eyes locked, not on the men, but on the trembling hands of his wife, who stood just behind him. She deserved more than words. She deserved justice. The crowd of neighbors watched. Some looked away in shame, others leaned forward in uneasy curiosity. No one dared to interfere. It was the silence of complicity, the silence that allows cruelty to grow. And then, everything shifted. The imposter laughed and raised his baton, expecting fear. Instead, in less than a heartbeat, the SEAL moved. His hand snapped forward, disarming the man with a precision born of countless hours of training. The baton clattered uselessly on the pavement. The other two rushed him, but they were no match. Every strike they attempted dissolved into nothing, redirected with surgical calm. One found himself pinned against the hood of a car, gasping for air. The other dropped to his knees, clutching his wrist. Stunned by the speed and power of the counter, the crowd erupted not in noise, but in stunned silence. It was as if the world had been holding its breath, and now it realized the quiet man they doubted had always been the storm waiting in restraint. The leader, now weaponless and shaken, staggered back. His bravado crumbled, leaving only fear. His words, once dripping with mockery, now cracked under the weight of reality. "You're crazy," he stammered. The SEAL finally spoke, his voice low but unshakable. "Respect is earned, not stolen." The imposters tried to scramble away, but neighbors stepped forward for the first time. Men and women who had hidden behind curtains now formed a silent line across the street. Their presence was not violent, but it was powerful, a community finally refusing to be ruled by fear. One elderly neighbor whispered what everyone else felt: "This man fought for us, and we stayed quiet. No more." The word spread like a wave. The imposters were forced to retreat, not by fists alone, but by the weight of collective dignity. They left behind their false uniforms, their fake badges, their hollow authority. For the Navy SEAL, it was never about revenge. It was about protecting the sacred bond of respect for his wife, for his family, for every silent hero who carries unseen scars. As the neighborhood settled, he turned to his wife. She met his eyes. No words needed. In her gaze was gratitude, pride, and unshaken love. He looked back at the crowd and spoke again, this time for everyone to hear. "Strength is not measured by how loud you shout, but by what you choose to protect." Those words lingered long after the imposters were gone. Children would remember them, neighbors would whisper them, and for those who watched from afar, it became a reminder that real power needs no noise, no theatrics, just silent honor. The man walked back into his home, hand in hand with the woman he swore to protect. Behind him, the street was no longer quiet. It was alive with respect, a respect that had been absent until courage gave it voice. And in that still evening, as the sun dipped low, a truth settled into the hearts of all who had witnessed it. Heroes are not those who seek conflict, but those who end it with dignity. In the end, this wasn't just about one man or one neighborhood. It was about what happens when silence is broken by courage. It was about standing firm when others bow to fear. If you believe that respect, dignity, and silent strength matter more than loud arrogance, then share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. I'd love to see how far this story travels. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that honor true silent heroes, the kind who fight battles we'll never see, but whose strength changes everything.